All right.
You didn't do it. Now recording.
No, you got mad at me last time, so I was like, "All right, all you,
right.
buddy."
That's been my thing now. Okay, my name is Craig. No, wait, my name's Jonathan. No, my name's SlackLizard. You know what? Hello and wait, no, that's your job. Hi, Foxy.
Hey. Hey. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Minecraft Update podcast. It is episode 23, recording this on the 2nd of June, 2022. We got a whole bunch of news, we got a whole bunch of feedback, a whole bunch of questions, but before we get to any of that, I would just like to give a little bit of an apology for the fact that we didn't do a podcast last week. And the reason behind that was, personally, my head wasn't in the ideal place for it. Jessie decided she was going to go and attack her son's school at the last minute, and Slack thought he heard a thunderstorm. So,
I'm pretty sure it was real. Pretty sure I'm not imagining thunderstorms.
So, yeah, basically, a thunderstorm where Slack lives means that the internet goes on, then off, then on, then off. So it's not ideal when you're trying to record a podcast across the Atlantic Ocean. And Jessie's school issue, well...
I can't help it that your version of a thunderstorm is a sprinkle in your lawn chair getting blown over,
we
okay?
get thunderstorms like once every few years that make
once every, 2 decades, maybe, and it might blow over a lawn chair or two.
Yeah.
I mean, we get a thunderstorm, you have to worry about a tornado coming and eating your house.
Yeah, Slack thunderstorms lead to tornadoes.
Look, I read Three Little Pigs, and I live in a house made of bricks, okay? So, that's not my problem. Sounds like a Slack problem.
You know what a tornado says to a house made of bricks? Crunchy.
Crunchy.
Right, okay. Moving on from our apology. It seems like a very sincere one to me. Jessie, what have you been doing this week?
I don't know if you can tell from my voice or if I'm recovered enough, but I died this week. I don't know what happened, but it seems like this weekend I just got hit with the worst cold I thought at the time that had ever existed. I went to bed and the hubs was like, yeah, you need to go to the doctors because it sounded like you weren't breathing last night. And I was like, oh, that's not great. Went to the doctors, have bronchitis. I have been miserable and just knocked out since. And so no episodes, no streaming, no nothing for me. But you know what? I'm here. I'm making an effort, guys.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, don't take a day off. Who do you think you are? Get your butt together and be here on this podcast, young lady.
Right? I get yelled at when I leave.
As my mother always says, just shut up moaning and get on with it.
Mom always said, if you want a reason to cry, I'll give you a reason to cry. Wait, no.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, anything else other than bronchitis, Jessie? No birthdays or Disney World this week?
No, not this week. This week, literally just, I've been getting real acquainted with my pillow. That's about it.
Oh, that's nice.
So do you have a nice pillow? I mean, is it a feather pillow? Is it a memory foam?
Which makes it the worst ever. It made me realize I'm going to invest in new pillows. Come on, stream check. I got this.
Don't no stream for Jessie's new pillow, please. Get one of them big ones that's like a triangle that pregnant people have. They're ace, they are. You can really snuggle into one of them. I wouldn't know. I
was about to say, how would you know this, good sir?
Kids. I steal pillows in my sleep. It's not my fault, all right? Jeez.
Nice pillow you got there, Foxy.
Can I have a go? Right, Slack, what have you been up to this week?
Yes. I don't know. This is what happens when we have multiple weeks off. I get confused about these questions.
Just think about like yesterday and today is fine.
Really? Yesterday and today?
Okay, we go a couple of days before that.
Playing Minecraft and, doing videos. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, it seems about right. Yeah.
Healing
from my neck. Stuffing things and watching gas prices go to an insanely high rate. But other than that,
yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? We're getting that here as well. Isn't that nice? Jeez.
Good talk.
So, Oh, in that case, I'll have to tell you all of the amazing things I've been doing this week, because I've had a pretty busy couple of weeks, which started off last weekend with me going to pick Jack up from his house and someone deciding to drive into the side of me on a roundabout, which was fun. It wasn't a bad one. In fact, Oliver was in the car with me, and when I pulled over to talk to the other driver, Oliver said, "Why are we stopping, Dad?" He hadn't even realised. So I've got a slight dent in my side, in my door on the passenger side, and the other guy was pretty sheepish about it. So that was fun. Then, then I did a stream where I made, basically, you know, our wish list feature where we go through the feedback. Well, I thought it'd be a good idea to take some of those ideas that I could make in add-ons and see if I can do them live on stream. So I made a jellyfish add-on during the stream for one of the feedback pieces. So that was fun. And it even worked. Although,
That's really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad for a couple of hours' work. Then I decided to update my version switcher because, as we'll see in the news later on, the preview has taken over the beta, which means it's pointless having the beta now. And then I spent a few days updating my camera mode add-on to make that even better and more exciting. And juggling all of that, I've had the kids here for half term. We went to the cinema to see Bad Guys, and yeah, that's a kind of... Oh, and today I spent all morning playing with a 9-week-old pug called Turbo, which was really, really good fun. So yeah, good week for me. It's been amazing.
It seems like it's been really productive, especially because usually for a while now, it's been like I was working on one specific thing. And now you're like, hey, I'm catching up. I'm doing all the things.
Yeah. The sad news is, though, the TB episode I started like nearly 2 weeks ago now, I still haven't progressed on at all. So that was supposed to come out last weekend. It's probably not even going to come out this weekend, but it will get done at some point, I think. Maybe. Possibly. Jeez. Anyway, from all of the good news that we've been doing this week, we're going to be going into the feedback and seeing all of the amazing feedback that we've had over the last couple of weeks, starting with Pirate Danny that says, "I can confirm the feedback form is easy to use. 10 out of 10 would use again," which is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for saying that the feedback form is easy to use. Any thoughts on that, guys?
It's really good to hear that things like that are going over well, because you never know, right? Like we go, okay, well, here's this resource. And if you don't get any feedback on that, you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to assume everything's great. If it's not, that's bad.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that someone's having an easy time with it.
Yeah, and it's quite a good thing for us to use as well. It's very easy to like get all of the stuff out from the back end as well. So yeah, that's nice. So thanks, Pirate Danny. What's next?
Turtle Brine says, wish list. Hi. Those who are there. Just wanted to send a wish list idea in 2 words. Banner beds. Think they would add a nice personal touch to beds when I play with friends. If you have any like me. Cheers, Turtle Brine, logging out or logged out.
So,
I like that.
Friends or beds? Which do we not have?
I don't know, but they link to the feedback post, which has got 31,592 votes from the Minecraft feedback website that we were talking about last week, saying that banners have a great feature in Minecraft and recently will be linked with waypoints for remembering locations. Amazing feature. This was written in 2018, by the way, this feature.
I'm not saying that sounds a little old. Yeah,
and basically it's like, can we have the banner patterns on beds? So I've got very strong opinions on this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that sounds great. Customization of beds. But I mean, we don't even have it on shields yet, but you know, I'd still be down for this.
I was gonna say, don't they have customization on Java but not on Bedrock?
Only on banners.
Is that a thing? Yeah.
Not on beds.
Well, they can also put the banners on the shields.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent. Like, that's cool. Not like something I need, but I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Well, on one hand, I like the idea that you've got your individual bed with your individual design on. On the other hand, I don't think Minecraft needs customization in-game because you can apply any sort of customization with a resource pack. So if you really wanted a new design on your bed or a personal one, you could change one of the bed colors to, a new texture or something like that. So I'm not... Well, I said I got a strong opinion on this, which is the wrong word, really, because I don't feel like this is something that I would be remotely bothered about personally, because I'm not bothered about not having the banners on shields either, because I don't you can't see the shield. Other people can, but you can't. So I kind of don't, unless you're doing some sort of like PvP games or something where you're with other people that need to be able to identify you from a distance while you're holding the shield. I really kind of don't see the point. So not for me, this one, sadly. Right, Slack, Squirrelicious.
Squirrelicious. That is always a very interesting name. With a, phew, I'm glad I'm not the only person who thinks out loud. I have full-on conversations with myself and my partner and often ask me if I'm okay. I'm fine, honest, aren't I? Right? Good talk? Yeah, good talk, Slack. Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, asking yourself if you're okay. I mean, that's pushing talking to yourself to a new level, I think.
I mean, sometimes you.
But I'm not going to lie, I probably do the same.
I was going to say, are you saying you've never done that? I've done that for sure. Like, are you okay, Jesse? Like, just like out loud for a second, and then like, all right, yeah, I'm good, and then like go back to what I'm doing.
Or you do something silly in game, and you're like, oh, did you really just do that?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
I do it, but I do the replies or I do the questions in a different voice.
It's just your way of making it feel.
I don't know. I just do. So I'll be in the kitchen and I'll like either do like a Mr. Onion impression or I'll do it like an Australian or a different accent. And I'll respond obviously with my voice and ask the questions in theirs, and it's totally bizarre. I need help. Jeez.
Everything's fine, Foxy. Everything's fine. What's Thunder have to say?
Thunder says, good morning, Foxy, Slack, and Jesse. I'm contacting you regarding some inappropriate content in episode 22. Although I'm sorry if I'm mistaken. This is supposed to be an all ages podcast, so I would appreciate if you could try stick to that. Also, in response to the point about Mojang not caring about using their name or logo because you agree with the developer decisions, I agree with this because you show such support to the devs and really endorse the game. However, I think it's good that you're branding it as an unofficial podcast because, as Jesse says, it would be a massive weight on your shoulders if people thought you were the official relayer of Mojang's opinions. I hope you all have an amazing weekend so far, and I thank you for taking time to read my feedback. Thunder. Okay, so in the last episode, we made a relatively adultish joke about Booshes, and to me, cheeky jokes like that, I generally find are okay to a certain degree for a family-friendly audience because you are telling a joke that you would need to be a certain age to understand why it's rude. So as an adult or a parent, you hear it and go, oh, you can't say that. But if you think about it, it's no different from, that child's just hearing something they don't understand the context. So it's not going to go into their mind as a rude thing to say. So providing they're not going around sort of repeating and copying that in a way that's rude. So basically the joke needs to be in a format that is washed within the content you're saying, so it's not in its own context, it's not a catchphrase, it's not something they're going to pick up and run with to school. For me personally, as a parent, I'm happy with that sort of thing, but I appreciate your feedback for calling us out on that. What do you guys think?
I see. So here's the thing, right? I don't know if that's like a cheeky, oh, you guys did a naughty, or if that's really someone being like, yeah, could you not? Because as a parent, obviously, I understand. So if somebody's uncomfortable with something you've said, like, I get it. I get trying to be responsible. But I am of the opinion that if a kid doesn't understand it, like, I've seen SpongeBob, I've seen Peppa Pig, I have seen all of these, like, childish cartoons that absolutely have innuendos that only adults get. And the kids are totally oblivious. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think there's lines. I think obviously if something is on the verge of like really inappropriate, yeah, absolutely call me out. I will backtrack. I will say sorry. I will fix it. But it feels very much like that kind of thing. It doesn't hurt anyone. And even if somebody like walked around, even if a kid was like, oh yeah, there's a spiky bush, okay. People are going to think like, what are you talking about? Not a big deal. But I totally get it.
It's like going back and like watching Shrek or going back and watching like The Lion King or something like that. When you watched it as a kid, everything was fine. You go back and watch it as an adult, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. There's innuendos there that I did not catch before.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many movies that do that, or that are either in the UK we call it universal U-rated, or you've got PG-13 over there. We call that a 12A. Now in PG-13s and 12As, you've got actual swearing sometimes. So
Yeah.
I would say we're not even bordering on that with what we're doing. The cheeky innuendo, I think, wouldn't be out of place in a Disney film or something that's not intentionally for kids, but that kids are perfectly fine to listen to.
I would agree on that. It's no different than setting yourself up to be a family-friendly streamer on Twitch. I mean, to even be on Twitch, you got to be 13 plus. You got to be able to do this, which means you fall into these guidelines. By making yourself a family-friendly streamer, you're actually setting the bar higher than what Twitch deems you even have to. So you're always going to have a difference of opinion. But if that's a genuine, somebody has an issue with it, hey, they should tell us, always.
Yeah.
It's
Totally
better
agree.
to know and question it than not know and just assume.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Totally agree. Right, moving on.
09 Patman says, hello, unofficial podcast gang. Did you miss my 09 in 09 Patman last week? Miss Hacker? Miss Hacker?
Yeah.
You, the hacker, with the
I'm a
boss
hacker?
mind.
Oh.
Yeah. Your
Wow,
whole
I forgot
shulker
about
of diamond
that.
ore. Yeah. Mhm.
I genuinely forgot about that. Wow. Oh my goodness. I have a question for you. What should I download if I want Redstone X-Ray on my single player survival world? If you were stealing from others, then, well, no question. Just kidding. Thanks for the great podcast again. 09 Patman. Okay. All right. I'm gonna just say this right here, right now. I mine all the time.
Oh no! Do you see that screenshot?
No. Okay, that screenshot only shows you what is directly under my base. I have tunnels that go out like 3,000 blocks from my base.
Oh wait a
I'm
minute! Is
just
she
saying.
admitting she does what Zoe does? Goes under other people's bases and steals
Yeah.
diamonds now?
I have this season. I
wonder why
have, and I
there's no
felt
diamonds
so
under
bad.
my base, Slack.
No, I haven't gone your direction. But before Piggy showed up in that spot, I was mining over there because I didn't think anyone was going there. And then he was there, and I was like, "Oh no! Good luck finding diamonds, bro."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are the thing.
Yeah.
She said she didn't go under your area, but literally, you all are the same area, so you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, Foxy. I guarantee you, she's been under your area.
Oh no! Speaking of, I go down to my wonderful, beautiful area in the cave in which I have custom terraformed, and I find that Foxy has mined out my custom terraforming for his. Yeah, he did. I had to go re-terraform it and then leave passive aggressive signs that say, "This is custom terraforming. Please do not remove."
Really?
So-
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I thought it was so funny. I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
No, I would remember that. Surely that
No.
wasn't me.
No, it was literally. It goes right to your base where your beacon is. So I mean, there's
Oof.
no denying it, man.
Jeez. Okay. Well, I apologize. But yeah, just to put it
No,
out
it's
there,
totally fine.
everybody, although the next piece of feedback covers this as well. Jessie's not a hacker. Jessie's not stealing. We just made a joke because it was funny. Okay. Jeez.
Absolutely.
Well, it's not the next piece of feedback. It's the one after. Slack. Moving on.
Oh God, I just read this one to myself before. Now I get to read this one out loud. Victim board says, I have finally caught up on all y'all's episodes. Got behind on my media for the last 2 months because of things and have really enjoyed catching up with the show. God Save the Queen, True Love Forever, and Hedge Trimmers.
I didn't
love
understand that
Victim.
last sentence. It doesn't make sense to me. Is that like supposed to be like nicknames for us?
Well, okay, so you're UK,
British,
God
so
Save the
God
Queen.
Save the
God
Queen,
Save
yeah.
the Queen.
Me and Jen, True Love
Yeah.
Forever.
Oh, okay.
And Jessie doesn't like spiky bushes.
Yeah, so hedge trimmers.
Okay, I kind of got those two. I just didn't get your True Love Forever one. I was like, that's not Slack.
By humbug there.
Yeah, there you go. Or something to do with Thanos, maybe. I don't know. Right,
I
jeez.
am inevitable.
Me's John says, as I was listening to the comparison of blocks broken and the time spent in game, I wonder if Foxy and Slack's numbers are a function of having been playing longer and maybe Jessie has been playing more lately. I mean, Foxy's taken a lot of time to do amazing things with his website, and Slack has a lot of in real life things going on. Not that the house drama is anything to discount on Jessie's part, so maybe that's not it, but just some food for thought. Jessiie B doesn't seem the hacker duper type to me. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Obviously, Slack and I have been playing a long time, and yeah, we've done. I mean, my first Bedrock world, I mined out a huge area underground. I've always been a miner. I just do. So yes,
I mean,
Jessie
is that the world you started with that ugly plastic texture pack?
Yes. All right, I liked it at the time. I don't anymore, but I did then. Jeez, we've all got opinions, Slack.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big part of it. Like I was in Java for so long, and the majority of my playtime was Java. And then I just casually started playing Bedrock, like pretty much right before TB started is when I found Bedrock Edition, which at the time was just like Windows 10 edition, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so I was playing, and then you guys just like went crazy with season 0, and I was like, okay, you know what, this is fun. The idea of playing with other people sounds great. Joined the community, thought it was a blast, and ever since it's been no going back. So the entirety of my advancements or whatever, my placement has basically been since TB started, and that's it. So TB started, that's as long as I've been playing. And I was thinking about that, and I think it was crazy that I've I've even done that much since then. So I'm definitely not duping, I promise. And maybe my hackerness is that I don't sleep, right? Like I'll admit to that. I have way too much time on my hands.
That sounds about right. Yeah, just extra time to do all of that stuff rather than actually, hacking the game. Right. Okay. Last piece of feedback then from Willager.
Willager says, listening to episode 22 again, and you guys talked about shulker farms taking away the experience of end raiding. And I just wanted to agree with you on this. I play on a server with an amazing shulker farm, and it's really handy. Wow, brain. But when I go end raiding, it's not a trouble or hard at all because I don't need the shulker sheeps. So I can just fly in, box myself into a chest spot, loot the chest, and fly off without really getting hit at all. Thanks for the amazing pod. Keep up the great work.
Anyone wondering what a shulker sheep is? I think they're supposed to say shelp.
It's shelp, yeah.
Shelp. I think their autocorrect has changed it to sheep.
Exactly. But I agree with that. I think it's taken away a lot of the fun on multiplayer servers. Obviously, if you're playing solo, that's going to be something different. The farm, you don't really need to go end raiding all that much anyway. But for multiplayer, it does just kind of zap a lot of the life out of the fun of going. However, on the opposite side of that, for people who hate the end, who do not enjoy going out but really use a lot of shulkers, I imagine this is wonderful for them. I imagine they love it.
You still got to go there and catch your shulker, though.
Yeah, it's true.
I'd just build it in the end. I wouldn't move it.
But if you don't like the end?
Well, then you just build it and go AFK and never go back after you get like 5 or 6 shulkers full of shulkers.
Right.
Well, logic, I guess, but geez.
Wow, doing something that makes sense.
I know. It's weird. Speaking of things that make sense, Slack, unfortunately, that's the end of the feedback. And if you'd like to leave us feedback, then you can send us an email to news@theminecraftupdate.com, or you can leave us some feedback on our fancy feedback form. The link to that is on the minecraftupdate.com website or in the description below. But unfortunately, that's enough of feedback, and it's time to head over to the news, of which we have many, because we've had 2 weeks off and everything went crazy with Minecraft over this last couple of weeks. Starting with the release date for the Wild Update has been announced officially on the Minecraft Twitter, and they say wave cautiously to the Warden, becomes friends with the Frog, and make the acquaintance of the Allay. The Wild Update arrives with Aurora on June 7th. Where in the wild will you wonder? Discover more now. So, and then it links to, a page all about the Wild Update. So that was exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got literally a couple of days as of this podcast coming out. 4 days? It's coming out on Tuesday. This podcast comes out on Friday. So yeah, by the time you're listening to this, you've probably already seen it. So there we go. Exciting times ahead.
I'm scared of what's going to break.
Yeah.
We know it happens. We know. They come with the best of intention. What bug is going to come back with this?
Oh,
Anybody
there'll be
make your guess?
something. There'll be something.
Yeah.
Is it the furnace? Is it going to be broken kelp? Is it going to be Treepers again?
Could
Oh,
be.
What's
better
going to
not
return?
Now,
Better not be, man.
we obviously got previews and betas and stuff like that to talk about, but the obviously for Bedrock Edition, having seen the new preview and beta stuff that's coming out, which is now for the later versions, they're actually bringing the previews out for the hot fixes. There's a lot of stuff in there that they're fixing that we're not going to be getting on June the 7th, such as loads of stuff to do with the Skulk and the Deep Dark and all that. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah. So I kind of wish they wouldn't put those previews out until the actual updates come out, because you're kind of tainted to thinking, well, you're pushing it, we're getting this update, but I can already see all the stuff you fixed in the next one, so I know those things are broken. So yeah, I'm excited. I would have expected it to be a little bit later in June, but I'm very happy that it's early June because it gives us the whole summer to play with it. So that's good fun.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I'm excited because we get the dirt blocks and, I have that humble village thing. So I'm excited.
Amazing. Right. Moving on to the next piece of news, which, oh my goodness, we have Minecraft Java snapshots for the pre-release 2, 3, 4, 5 and release candidates 1 to go through. But as you can imagine, because these are previews and pre-releases and release candidates, there's not really any new features. It's mainly bug fixes. And as you know, I'm way too lazy to read the entire list of bug fixes. So again, I will...
Usually that's the first thing you do is like, here, let me read everything.
I'll put the change logs into the description below so you can see them all for yourself. But I will tell you about the changes in pre-release. Why have we got pre-release 1? We talked about that last week. Jeez, I want pre-release 2, which... Oh, there we go. I found it. Don't worry, guys. It says the changes: if the warden is stuck in liquid, it will angrily despawn instead of digging. They reverted using generic equip sound when equipping blocks in the head slot, and they've added an event teleport with a vibration frequency of 5. So that was it for changes. The rest was all ridiculous numbers of bug fixes. So not really a great deal to talk about with those, I guess. So that will take us on to pre-release 3. Which had many it had one change, which was the Warden's Sonic Boom attack now bypasses the damage reduction by armor enchantments such as protection, which I thought was quite a big deal. So what do you guys think of that? Didn't we have that earlier? We talked about something like that.
We
I thought
we
so,
covered
yeah.
that last one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but is that a change they've made before, maybe for Bedrock, and we've discussed it on that, or is that just something we came up with, like, shouldn't it do this, and now it's a thing?
I get confused with that sometimes because we think of so many good things. Like, do you remember that joke we made a long time ago, Foxy, in the Nether getting wither skulls and be like, imagine if Minecraft had goats, then we'd have to say we're going to need a bigger goat.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, I seem to remember, but don't go on my memory because it's awful. But I'm sure it was either Dylan or Tyler sent us a piece of feedback saying that, wouldn't it be great if there's something to do with like the warden being magnetic and it's sucking all of your armor off or something like that? And I'm sure at that point we talked about the fact that you could block it with a shield, and wouldn't it be great if it went through the shield? And then we talked about the different armors, and I was saying I don't think the armor should count. I think it shouldn't go through. I'm sure it was something like that. So yeah, it's nice to see, but it also makes everything a little bit more dangerous. So yeah, there's a technical change in pre-release 3 as well, which is probably nonsense to 99% of people. So again, if you want to check that out and all of the bug fixes in that pre-release, then make sure to check that out in the description below as well, which takes us on to pre-release 4, which is the 4th pre-release for Minecraft 1.19 according to the changelog. And there's no changes in that. That is just bug fixes. So there's a couple of crash ones and something to do with chunk borders and aquifers and things like that. So again, not particularly of interest to us. Then there's pre-release 5 that fixes more bugs and has absolutely nothing else in there. And then there was release candidate 1, and this is where everything changed, guys. You're not going to believe all the stuff. No, there's nothing. There's literally one fix. There's not even a list of bug fixes. There is one fix, and that is darkness effect fading in Death Stream causes subtle flashing. So that's it. I think Java Edition, you could safely say at this point, is ready.
Yeah, they're ready.
Well, any thoughts on any of those amazing changes and fixes, guys? I don't think there's much to say, is there?
Well, I'm not asleep. Yeah.
Wow.
75 releases later, and when pre-release is it here yet?
Do you know
Is
what? I
it
try
next
so
Tuesday?
hard to make this news exciting and interesting for you both, and I just feel so unappreciated. Wow. Right. Okay. So that's enough of the Java snapshots, which takes us into the Minecraft beta and previews 1.19.10.20. Notice there's only one number this time, not two numbers, and that's because another piece of news is that there is no more beta on no more beta on Windows. The Windows beta has gone. Goodbye. There will be no more. There is only the preview, which another piece of news that I'm going to sneak in before these changelogs is that the Minecraft preview on Xbox no longer requires you to use the Insider program, which means if you own Minecraft on the Xbox, then you can down the preview for free and you don't need to go into the Insider program, which means more people can access it, which hopefully means more people can fiddle with the features and not bother putting out bug reports when it's all broken. So great. No, it's got to be a good thing going forward. More people having access to the preview.
So now that they've deleted the whole thing, is your account back to normal?
I haven't checked. I don't dare. I use my version switcher. I'm happy with it. I don't. The store annoys me anyway. The Minecraft or Windows or Microsoft Store, whatever it's called, it's awful. It's slow. It's clunky. They don't even have the version that I paid for anymore. It just comes up with Minecraft Launcher, and if I get that, the launcher won't install the game anyway. And on my laptop, which is Windows 11, I can't even install that. It won't let me. So I'm done with the store. I'll use my version switcher. Thank you very much. Jeez.
Sounds like the right move, to be fair.
Yeah. Speaking of, did I mention in this week I made a new version of it? It's really good. And I did. I made it so that the thing that annoys me about the preview, which is much better than the beta, let me put that out there, is that because it's a separate app, it doesn't carry forward all of your worlds and your packs or everything like that, and your settings. So when you load up the preview, you got to put all of your video settings and your controller settings in again. You've got to try, if you want to use your packs and add-ons and worlds on there, you've got to find where they all live and copy them over from your Minecraft one, which means you're just duplicating everything, and if you change one on one, it's not going to change on the other. So I made the new version switcher so that you can either play Minecraft, any version of that you've got installed, or any version of the preview got installed, but it has one profile, and that profile is just a folder where all of your worlds, your settings, your packs and everything live, which is the other added benefit to that is when you delete the preview for whatever reason, or you delete Minecraft for whatever reason, it's not going to delete all of your stuff because it's stored inside of a little profile folder rather than the default place where it is, which all gets wiped when you delete Minecraft. So that's my reason for the update, was just so that I can go, I'm going to play the preview today, and it's still got all my stuff in it that I use just playing normal Minecraft. So, yeah. Anyway, enough of selling myself. It's time to talk about the Minecraft preview 1.19.10.20. And yes, you heard me right there, 1.19.10.20, not 1.19.0.20, which means these are previews for the first hotfix or the first minor update of 1.19, which signifies that Minecraft 1.19.0 is done, finished, and sent off ready for us to download on Tuesday, June the 7th. And in this update, or in this preview, there is a known issue. And the known issue is that potion effects of differing strengths do not stack correctly. We hope to have this addressed in a future update. So I don't really know what that means. I guess it means if you've got a potion strength or a couple of potions of the same strength, they won't stack for some reason. I've not really tried that. Do you guys know anything about that?
No, no clue, unless maybe like you mix strength 1 and strength 2, it messes up. I don't know.
I didn't think potions stacked in general. Do they? I didn't know that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, no, potion effects of differing strengths.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
I read it wrong. Yeah, so.
Never mind then. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So the rest of this is where I get frustrated at the fact that we're going to be getting like an unfinished version of 1.19.0, because most of the changes in these previews are changes to the warden, the skulk sensors, the allays, the mangroves, the logs, and everything like that. And I'm going to go through them very, very quickly. The warden can now pass through lava and water. It's no longer pushable when emerging or digging. If it's in liquid when it attempts to despawn, it will not go into the digging animation. It'll just pop out of existence. It always chases a nuisance after it roars at it, which means that if it considers something it dislikes and it roars at it, it's not just going to then just wander off and do something else. It is actually going to lock onto that target. And it now increases anger towards an attacking nuisance by 100 anger for each attack. But we don't know what 100 anger means. What does that mean? How many is 100 anger? Is that a lot? How many anger does it have? How many can it have? So, yeah, a little bit confused on that one, but I'm glad it's in there. Not knocking the changelog. Changelogs for Bedrock are perfect, remember?
I have to agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of them having such what seems like important fixes. They're so directly after. Like, why was a game pushed out that has such blaring things that they need to fix right away before the release has even happened? Like, that feels weird to me.
Yeah, I guess that they want to. Sorry, Slack. I was just saying.
No, go ahead.
I guess that they want to, make sure that they're dropping everything at the same time, and they probably consider these things not game breaking enough to push out originally. But it's not necessarily the entity things like this that annoy me. It's more like the world generation stuff, which there are a few things of as well. So sorry, Slack. What were you about to say?
I don't even remember now.
Oh, good. Nice. I can carry on then. The skulk sensor now correctly detects when a big drip leaf block changes its tilting state. It will correctly detect grass paths, dirt, coarse dirt, rooted dirt, blocks being tilled with a hoe, and it cannot detect a player equipping a handheld item anymore. The allay is taking a stackable item from an allay now correctly adds this to existing stacks rather than generating a new stack. Stackable item from an allay no longer causes duplication. So apparently for the 1.19.0, there's a way of duping with allays, which is going to be fun for everybody, I'm sure. And then the allay pickup range has been changed from 64 to 32 blocks, which I think is a good idea. It matches Java Edition, and I guess if you're on a simulation distance of 4, it's not going to fly off and get stuck. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Can we have it in the game?
Sounds all good to me.
Yep.
Good. Skulk veins now drop as many items as the number of faces when mined with silk touch. And we had this. Do you remember when the, what's the one, glow lichen? When glow lichen was being developed all that time ago, when that came out, it was like, when you mine it, you only get one, even though it's stuck on technically 5 faces on the inside of these blocks. Mm-hmm. And they've done the same thing with the skulk vein. You would just think, oh yeah, I remember that being a problem from that one, which is basically it's a retextured one of those. So let's make sure we don't make that mistake. But yeah, in 1.19, you will, when you mine 5 of them, you're only going to get 1. So yeah, wait for the hotfix, guys. The skulk catalyst now spreads skulk through mud and muddy mangrove roots as well. So if you do manage to make a mob farm in a mangrove swamp, then or a skulk farm, sorry, it's actually going to work in 1.19.10. The Skulk Shriekers have got a whole bunch of changes to those, basically to do with how they apply the darkness effect and how the range for the Warden as well, which is going to affect any of the Warden farms that have been come up with already. The mangrove propagules, they're basically saplings, won't be blocked by leaves. So if you've got a tree farm that you can grow mangroves in, if there's any leaves in the way, it's not going to stop them growing through the leaves, which is nice. You can get the mangrove log in the bonus chest loot tables, which... okay. The swamp villagers now spawn in swamp villages in mangrove swamps, which is nice. And the clay patches will generate. So there's no in 1.19.0. There will be no clay in the mangrove swamps, but there will be in 1.19.10. And this is the sort of thing, world generation like that, where you go, well, should I wait then?
Yeah.
Should I wait to go to a mangrove swamp so I get the stuff properly? Or should I go and just not worry about the clay? I mean, it's only clay. We can get it anywhere else. But it just kind of feels like, oh, man, I wish that. Jeez. So what do you think about that, Slack? Okay.
Well, I'm awake. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, it just means what do you think about the does it just feel a little bit tainted going into 1.19 for you, or are you just happy to go, I don't really care. I'll go to a different mangrove swamp to get the clay if I'm really that desperate.
Yeah, I can go to a different one. I'm a grinder. It's never bothered me. It bothers me when stuff gets out that's broken, but Is it sad to say that we've come to accept that as part of the game?
We're just used to it now. We're like, oh yeah,
exactly.
it's Bedrock, it's fine.
Oh look,
it's fine.
Creepers and trees on unspawnable blocks.
No.
The next,
Stop with the Treepers.
the next section I'm going to read out is vanilla parity, and there are some things in here that Jessiie B is going to like very much.
Oh no.
It's not flowers on trapdoors, which obviously we've already got now, but I think it's almost as good. And that is that campfires and lecterns can now have things like lanterns and weeping vines placed underneath them. So you can now have a porch with a lantern hanging on it made of campfires.
Shut up.
So, yeah.
You are absolutely 1000% right. I am super stoked. That is going to make... sorry, my brain. It's going now. I have so many ideas. I'm excited.
Excellent.
Okay?
That's good.
Do you need a moment?
A little bit. I'm like, that really, I wasn't expecting it. I did not check these docs beforehand. I'm glad because I would have, I'm good. I'm writing it. It's fine.
Breaking a boat with chest or a minecart with chest will now anger nearby piglins, although in my testing I couldn't really get that to work because even wearing full gold armor, the piglins wanted to kill me in 1.19.10, which was great.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
The structure blocks can no longer be waterlogged, which I guess is good. And so this one's quite interesting. Relative positioning of entities exiting nether portals will no longer have their placement snapped to a block position coordinate, which basically means when the player or another entity goes through a portal, the game at the moment will always try and put it in either the left-hand side of the portal or the right-hand side of the portal, like on the first block. So if you've got a 24-block wide portal, you will always come out of one side or another, which generally means if it's a large mob, such as a ghast, or a floating mob such as an allay, when they go through, they end up trapped in the obsidian and suffocating. Now what they're going to do is you're actually going to come through the part of the portal that you should do in the relative coordinates. So if your portal's lined up perfectly and you go through the middle of the portal in the nether, you will emerge from the middle of the portal in the overworld, which I think is a really good change.
Yeah,
horses will live.
Yeah, horses.
Horses will live.
Well, this was brought up. That change was probably brought out because of the LA being broke, and that's why they. Yeah.
Do you remember a couple of updates ago? They said that they had to stop the LA following the player into the nether because of them suffocating in the blocks when they went through the other side. So fingers crossed, that's the fix for.
That's a relatively quick fix on something that usually feels like it would take 2 years.
Yeah, but thinking about it, I don't know how simple it was to implement in the back end, but it just makes sense, doesn't it? If we actually put the entity in the place it's supposed to be rather than just shoving it in a corner, then it's not going to die. So I guess it makes a lot of sense to do it that way rather than try to make a really overly complicated, just sort of, I can't think of the word, like what's it called, jerry-rigged fix. You know, putting a plaster over it rather than actually solving the problem. Yeah.
I'm following
redneck,
now.
Yeah. Redneck, yeah.
Okay. The next section is all about spectator mode, which has had a massive bunch of updates in this one. The spectator modes won't actually drown in blocks or water now, which is nice. They can't be pushed by pistons. They will be ignored for sleeping to skip the night, so spectator mode players won't need to sleep. Annoyingly, they haven't done that for creative mode players. Creative mode players still need to sleep, which is really frustrating. Moving around as a spectator no longer affects the player's hunger level. They won't make sounds like footsteps and climbing and water splashes. Their insomnia timer should stop to prevent phantom spawning above them at night time, and only their head will render in spectator mode, and it will be semi-transparent. However, before I get to the however, there's a couple more things. They won't be hit by arrows like arrows, tridents, and fireballs. So you can shoot through them in PvP now. A spectator can't block what you're doing. And them playing with a gamepad no longer are shown usable tooltips. But there's still a lot of problems. So playing with spectator mode quite a lot recently. One of the first things that annoyed me, although this is probably how it's supposed to work, is when you go into spectator mode, you lose everything. Like your hotbar's gone, there's no access to your inventory, you can't punch, you don't even have a crosshair cursor to point in the direction you're looking at. Which, to me, okay, you're a spectator, you don't need to have access to those things. But for like when I'm making like the camera add-on that I did recently, it would have been really nice to put people into spectator mode rather than a fake spectator mode using adventure mode. but I need them to be able to select items in their hotbar or their inventory in order to use those items. And in order to use them, they need to be able to punch. But with them not being able to even see a hotbar or like select an item or do anything, it just completely renders the spectator useless for anything like mini games where you might want to TP one to another player, or you might want to move one to a new area in a mini map or something like that. So a little bit frustrating there. And the other weird things going on with the bugs are that rather than them just making spectators invisible, they've done some really weird things with how they perceive everything in the game. So at one point in the video I was making, I had a normal player not in spectator mode next to a bed, and I wanted to sort of prove that the spectator watching them didn't need to sleep at night. But when I put the player that was the spectator into spectator mode, not only did they vanish, but the person in the bed and the frog next to the bed all vanished as well. So they could see everything else, but all of the other entities around them vanished. But that wasn't consistent. It only happened a few times. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes the spectator's head would be rendered fully. Sometimes it would be completely invisible. Sometimes it would be semi-transparent. Sometimes the spectators could see each other. Sometimes they couldn't. And sometimes they did have a hotbar with all of the hearts and the XP bar, but they still couldn't do anything with it. And sometimes it was just completely invisible. So graphically, there's a lot of problems with spectator mode still. It is in experimental. It's not supposed to be ready yet. So, we can expect them to be bugs, but it is very, very buggy in that regard at the moment. So fingers crossed they get those things sorted out relatively quickly, because I want to use it.
I was going to say, it is good to know that they're working on it kind of so vigorously. Like it feels like since it was kind of, I want to say leaked, but it wasn't. It was accidentally or intentionally, whatever, put into the game. It seems like we're getting fixes to it quick, which I think is a positive sign. So I'm excited that some things are definitely getting better, and I'm hopeful that we'll get real change to it.
Yeah, me too. I hope we do get a little bit more parity with Java on that as well. Like just in the things that I said, just being able to choose or just find a way of running functions from a spectator by them doing something. And if that's not obviously typing functions in the chat, doing something with items, I think would be great. So
yeah, I think we just give it time and it'll all get there.
Yeah, and I'm really glad they're obviously doing a lot of work on it, and it's such a
I'm glad they left
change.
It in, to be fair.
Yeah.
Me too.
Absolutely. Right, the next section is called blocks, and then there's another one here that I think Jessie's going to like, although I don't think it's quite as exciting as the other one, is that nether sprouts and fungi can now be placed on mud and muddy mangrove roots, so you can do a little bit more decorating in the mangrove swamp there. Mangrove leaves are no longer collected into separate stacks when using shears. So again, you remember the old bugs where you would, if you used mined leaves with shears or silk touch, they wouldn't stack with other ones?
Mm-hmm.
Done the same thing with mangrove leaves.
Oh,
you're going to have to wait for the hot fix for that if you're going and shearing a lot of those. Right, what else have we got? Not a massive amount. The tadpoles actually grow up into the right type of frog in the right type of biomes now. And players are no longer pushed by doors when the doors close. I didn't even know that was a thing. Items now stack properly in the offhand when the inventory's full, which I guess is kind of useful if you've got stackable items in your offhand. And yeah, there's not massive amounts else in there. There was one thing I seem to remember where I wanted to mention, and I can't find it now. And then yes, the Wandering Trader's llama is now a separate entity from the normal llama. The llamas have been split up, so your normal llamas are just normal llamas. The Wandering Trader one is a completely new mob with its new spawn egg, and again, in my testing, it's completely invisible, not just to spectators, but to everybody. So the spawn egg's invisible and the llama was invisible, which might have just been this weird graphical glitch that I had thing going on, but I relogged a couple of times, it didn't come back in. I changed game mode a couple of times, it didn't come back in. Or it could have been that I was using the spawn egg rather than spawning in the Wandering Trader or spawning in the llama. It might have had something to do with it, I don't know. But yeah, they're completely invisible. You could access their inventories and you could ride on them, but they were, yeah, it was a fun experience. So,
I mean, it's definitely new. Invisible llamas. We could use those as chairs. It's fine.
Yeah.
Put them in minecarts.
They do kind of wander about a bit, but yeah. And there's a lot more going on in that. There's a whole bunch of other technical changes and things like that, but nothing that I would consider would be particularly useful for the majority of people. So moving on from that beta to the next one, which is 1.19.10.21, and the even more stuff with spectator mode, and that's that they can't get effects from gameplay, which I guess means if you throw a splash potion at a spectator, they're not going to be affected by it, and they don't trigger raids with the bad omen effect, which I don't understand how they could get if they can't get effects from gameplay. So those are good things, I guess. The skulk sensors had even more work done to it. So the wall occlusion is actually going to work properly. They can't detect players placing, destroying, walking, or falling on carpets anymore. They can't detect wool and carpets hitting the ground in item form anymore. And there's, they all retain information about what vibration they've received when you save and load. So basically, if a skulk sensor, a warden, or a skulk shrieker received a vibration and reacted to that, when you logged out and logged back in, it would forget what that was from, whereas now it's actually going to remember that. So there's a whole bunch of other things that it will detect you, will detect and won't detect. So it will detect you drinking milk, it will detect you picking up powder snow, it won't detect you jumping on wall, or even if it's got skulk veins on top of the wall. And yeah, a whole bunch of things with that. Wardens can now spawn on more types of full blocks, such as upper slabs, redstone, dust, snow layers, buttons, and tripwires. But I think them spawning on redstone dust's not the best thing, really, because redstone's supposed to be unspawnable.
Yeah. No, it's bad. Just bad.
And a match to Java Edition, although, again, this just bear in mind, this isn't going to come out on June the 7th. This is the next hotfix, which is likely a month or two away. This is the Warden Sonic Boom attack will bypass the enchantment damage reduction, such as protection on armor. So we're going to be pretty buffed towards the Warden until this hotfix, which is nice. Mangrove Propagals have had their sound changed and they won't be destroyed by flowing water. The Deep Dark, again, this is another fix that I wish was in the actual update. It's because they're changing the generation for Deep Dark. So if you've gone to a Deep Dark, you're not going to get a correct one. And it's not massive, but it's campground structures generate correctly in this version, but they won't do in the other one. And you also find the Skulk Vein feature can now generate within the same height span as the Skulk Patch feature. So there might be areas where you've got Skulk Patches that don't have Skulk Veins on, which is a little bit of a shame. But then, okay, so in the previous preview, they fixed the mangrove leaves being able to be stacked if you got them with shares. And then they remembered, Silk Touch is a problem too. So in this one, they've fixed them being able to be collected in different stacks with Silk Touch too. And yeah, there's not a massive amount else there. Smelting gold and iron tools and weapons and nuggets now rewards XP. Teleporting entities into unloaded chunks no longer deletes them, which is nice. So my Guardian farm will work again in 1.19.10. And there was something else in this one that's great, but I can't find it. I know what it is, but I want to find it so I can read it properly. Yeah, there we go. In the user interface, the player's cause of death will now be added onto the death screen. So, your respawn screen where you've got respawn or exit, it will show you your death screen, why you died on there now, which is amazing. Another Java parity thing, which we haven't had, which is going to be nice. That's one I really like.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do, because you have to skip out that quick to see why, to read your death message, which, it's nice to see that. And then another big change that might affect some wither farms is that withers will now break obsidian when being attacked by the player. So if you've got an wither trapped in the obsidian in the end somewhere, or you try to put it in an obsidian thing to trap it, and when you hit it, it's actually going to break that obsidian, which is, well, interesting, I guess.
Well, you would figure that the withers should break obsidian, regardless of if the player's involved or not.
Do you think so? I don't think it should. I don't like that the wither can break obsidian. I think you should be able to trap it with obsidian.
Maybe reinforce deep slate?
Yeah, well, try and get hold of it.
Well, details. Maybe it should be in the chest.
And that is... Well, there's loads more, but I'm just flicking through it now. There's the marketplace fixes. Villagers will now flee from hoglins. The Wandering Trader will now, not Hoglin, sorry, Zoglin's Wandering Trader will as well. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of other things in there. Again, if you want to check out all of these changes, check the change logs. The link is in the description below. So that is it for the snapshots and the previews. We talked about the fact that there's not going to be any more beta on Windows. How do you guys feel about it? Are you bothered? Are you bothered that there's no more beta? It's just a preview?
Nope. Not at all.
No.
No. I was a bit
program.
sad, to be honest. As much as I was stuck in it, it does feel like a little bit of an end of an era just to be saying the preview. But yeah, I'm happy enough. It's not a big problem. It's not a problem at all, really. It makes life a lot easier. So yeah, that's
Except
good.
for your accounts that are still locked in.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I should check that out, really, just to see what happens if I try and download Minecraft. Guarantee you I'll still get the previous beta which came out, but
It
we'll
doesn't
see.
exist.
Yeah.
What do you mean they're secretly updating it, huh?
And the last piece of news is another probably a little bit sad piece of news. If you're aware, Henrick Leaving, I don't know how to say that name, but he's the developer that did a lot of the work with mountains. He's always in the Mojang developer diary videos. He was in the live streams for the Minecraft Live. He's leaving. It says, I'm leaving Mojang at least for now, so I won't be posting as much Minecraft stuff. This has been really fun. Never met a dev team with so strong passion about their product and users, and the community has been super helpful with snapshot feedback and testing it. Keep it up. So that's a real shame, but he did then go on and post a whole bunch of like little mini videos of stuff he'd worked on and like pathfinding things and how the baby hoglins, what they call piglins, would stack on each other when riding minecarts and things like that. So I think that's great. It's obviously moving on to do something that he enjoys, but he's been such a huge, like, massive
Figure.
Figure in what's been going on with the last few changes, updates, mountains, and things like that. That I don't know whether I don't know. We don't know anything that's going on in Mojang, do we? But I hope they've got a good replacement that's going to be as good as them. So
agreed. I think that he's done such good work. Like I since being, a creator, especially, I've kind of paid more attention to devs. Before, just playing, didn't really care very much. But since doing this, it just feels like I've actively paid attention to what he's done, and I'm a big fan. So it's sad to see him go, but I hope that he's happy in whatever he's doing.
I was wondering, how a couple of weeks ago or 2 or 3 weeks ago there was that post that Slice Line put out about they were going to an event that wasn't particularly related, and then Jeb put some eyes on it, and then Cornerhard said, we'll talk about this maybe more in the future. I made the joke tweet replying to IBX Toycat, who was getting all excited about it, saying it's probably just something silly like, Jeb's retirement due or the bowling alley 2 for 1 or something like that. And I'm wondering if that probably or maybe was the Henrick's leaving party, because you're probably going to have that before you actually make the announcement that you're going, right?
Probably. Seems legit.
I would think so.
So, all right, maybe it's not. Maybe that's pure speculation. But I hope they did. I hope they did do something great for him, and I hope he does maybe return at some point, or at least really having move on to some great things. Speaking of great things, we're going now into the Bugdate, peeps.
Yay!
Bug's great. Right, Slack, Jessiie, have you got any bugs? We got a couple from the peeps, but have you got any?
I don't know if it's a bug or if it's like just a change that they've done, because I don't pay attention, but slabs have been really annoying me. Like I'm actively trying not to use slabs because I am so frustrated with placing them, like them automatically trying to fill the lower one when you're doing top slabs, or when you're trying to do bottom slabs, it automatically tries to fill the top one. And I'm just like, I'm angry.
But it's fixed in 1.19, so you've only got till Tuesday to worry about that. So that's
okay.
Good news.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I guess I'll, but yeah, that's the only one.
Okay. Slack, anything from you?
Just the armor desync bug. I just find it really annoying. Like you go to repair your stuff, and then you look at your armor, and you're like, wait a minute, none of that's repaired, and you got to unequip it and re-equip it for it to show.
Yep.
And And like if anyone's around you in armor and they take something off or change something, you can't see it, so you don't know. It's like you're walking around with no armor. No, I got armor on.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
armor
weird.
decent.
Bizarre.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've had that issue with my spectator.
Yep.
My camera mode thing. I'll have to like log out and then log back in so that my my person doesn't look like they have armor, because it annoys me seeing the armor.
It
some
seems
reason.
like. Oh, sorry, Jesse. I thought you
No,
finished.
you're fine.
It just seems like a lot of the things that's happening on servers, they're pushing to the client side of things in order to maybe, take a little bit of the strain out of the servers having to process so much. But obviously there is a massive desync there, and that information's not getting back again and updated. So we've got the same thing. So that's like the weather, isn't it? We've got the same thing with weather and now armor as well.
That one's bad. That's where that one's getting worse.
We had it
Yeah.
with villagers. Remember villagers that were like sleeping in beds miles like up in the air, or they just go completely like still, and it turned out that the villager was actually invisible and like down the road somewhere he'd run off. So
The weather one's getting so bad that I hadn't tried it, and I have tried it now since then. I can go to a world, turn on the rain, leave, and if it glitches when I log into the next world, I can use a Riptide Trident, even if it's not raining. It's like, really?
bizarre. Really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
And my bug is basically the stuff that I talked about in the few previews, which I don't think we can really class as bugs at this point because it is still very much experimental under development. But it is these invisibility issues or these visual glitches. Which, speaking of, there was one thing in the 1.10.21 update that I forgot to mention, Slack, that you'll like, and that's that going into RTX and when you would get a black screen has been fixed.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me. It's so like I've literally quit using RTX now because I can replicate it every time.
Yeah.
I go into the game, I turn on RTX, it doesn't work properly. Like things that are supposed to illuminate don't. Turn off RTX, leave, rejoin game, turn on RTX, everything's black.
Weird, isn't it?
Close
Yeah.
game, crash, audio cables broke, everything broke, dog barking. Good talk. Yep.
But good news
Thank
is
you.
it will be fixed soon. Right, okay, going into the bug date then. There's only two, so I've given them to you two rather than me stealing one, because I do an awful lot of talking in these podcasts, and it's going to start with 09 Patman.
09 Patman says, Bug 1. I tried again to play with my friend in PvP since last week we encountered a bug. We put all of our armor on and we didn't see each other's armor. When his helmet broke, I couldn't see his armor except for his helmet. Of course, this was only each other's armor. We saw our own. When we wanted to change it, his netherite armor was still showing, which we just went over. That was basically what Slacks is, right?
Yeah, I'd like a bug number on this so that we can flag up the report, because obviously if that's in the bug date and Slacks said it, it's quite kind of prevalent. So yeah, bug number would be nice on that one, Patman. If you can drop us one in next week, that would be great.
Yeah. Bug number 2 says, when we changed it, we had just full armor, sword, and stake. For some reason, even though my hunger was full and it wasn't changing my saturation.
I'm lost on that one.
So I think what they're saying is they were PvPing even after like the armor change, and he had full hunger, but his saturation wasn't changing.
How can they tell?
I'm guessing because they were probably hitting each other like in PvP. So
they weren't getting hungry.
Yeah.
Now,
So
I've heard of this one. I've actually witnessed this one. A few people in my community were doing testing, and the only way they could get their hunger to go down, like after dying, was like swimming for like 40 minutes. They could run,
really?
sprint, jump, everything. Just it never affected them. Like after they died or changed modes, if they changed from like survival to creative and then back to survival, it was broke. Your saturation would just never go down. Never. You had unlimited like sprint and everything.
Interesting. Okay, some behind the scenes stuff going on when you change game mode, obviously affecting your saturation level, maybe giving you way too much. Jeez. Okay. So, what's Victim Born got to say, Slack?
Sapling bug. I planted sapling and never grows, as if the game engine has forgotten it exists. The way I have found to check if this is happening is to pick block the question sapling. If it doesn't work, then the sapling is broken. No amount of bone meal will ever work. Punching and replanting is the only cure. Location doesn't seem to matter, as you can replant in the same place. I frequently encountered this issue online, offline, solo, multiplayer, vanilla, and marketplace maps. I play on a laptop with Windows 10 and Bedrock Edition, and I have been seeing this bug for the last 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
did we? I don't think this was an old one, but I feel like we've already talked about this. Maybe it's just because I read the email ages ago. But I'm sure me and you discussed this recently, Jessie, didn't we? Saplings?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've mentioned it, I think, while you were streaming, because I've had saplings sitting on my hill for pretty much the entirety of TB, and it just doesn't grow. And I'm like, what is going on? And then you break it and you replace it, and then you can grow it with bone meal. But sometimes even then it's like, yeah. So I've encountered this one a lot.
Wow.
I just kind of thought it was something in the game. I didn't even think of it as a bug. I was just like, oh, that's annoying.
Well, I haven't tried it with the pick block, but I've experienced ones that wouldn't grow, but usually that's because something else was near it, or it was on a hill. It was on the edge of the block. I don't know, I'd never heard of this one.
Yeah, that is weird. It's almost like it's forgotten to tick. So, obviously kelp, and I think what's the other one? Is it weeping vines? Or one of them? They have an age, don't they? So every time it grows, there's a potential chance for it to reach an age, and it won't grow any more than that, even if you bone meal it. I wonder if somehow saplings have been affected by that same sort of mechanic, that they've just gone, no, it's over the age that it needs to be able to grow. So even bone mealing, it's not going to do anything, because that's bizarre that it just becomes. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Odd. That's very odd.
Yeah. Again, Victim, if you can drop us a bug report for that, if you can find the bug number, that would be really helpful, so we can put that in the description. So, yeah, fantastic bugs there. Amazing. We've actually had a bug date that lasted more than 30 seconds this week, which takes us on to our new feature, which only I seem to care about. Jeez.
Wait a minute. Wait, we talked about this before.
Wow.
He just threw us
throwing
under,
us
the,
under
bus.
the bus. Yeah.
Which is the wish list, my new favorite feature, which Jessie and Slack hate.
Wow.
Suddenly, now what it is the wish list is bonus, and he's like, "Oh, we're an hour into this podcast.
Yeah.
I expected this to be about an hour and a half in, because all we got after this is questions." So magically, he's like, "I'm concerned about the wish list this week." Right.
You know me so well.
Wow.
Okay, well, my wish list item is redstone on walls and wall placement. And basically, this was, again, written in 2018. It's got 3,091 votes, and it says, I think you should be able to place redstone on walls going up, because it would make it a lot easier to use. And in real life, wires don't just go on the floors, they go up walls. I agree, and I think you should be able to put it on the ceiling as well, because, well, it's redstone. Why wouldn't you be able to trail that dust around? I know.
What? Dust? I mean, dust falls?
Slack. Come on. This is Minecraft. You punch the bottom of a
Did
tree.
you just bruh me without saying bruh?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah, don't give me gravity arguments in Minecraft. I'm sorry. Unless it's sand or gravel, I don't want to hear it.
Okay, well, fine. Okay, here. I since we're redstone on all those things, yeah, I could get behind that. I'm not looking and getting me a wish list item now.
At the end of
Wow,
the day,
Jesse, didn't even get an article. You just typed.
Slack.
Ain't fair.
Joking aside, your argument for gravity, it falls flat when you realise that if you put redstone on one block and then you put it on a block that's higher up, it goes up the side of that block, and it does so quite easily. It has no problem at all going up the side of a block. So why can't it go up a wall?
No, yeah, exactly. I didn't break nothing in the document either. Okay, fine. Don't worry
You're
about it.
messing my document up, jeez. Okay. Well, Jessie's picked one that I'm going to be doing for my next add-on tutorial, so that's cool.
Really?
I'm going to try. I don't know how easy it's going to be, but I reckon it could be a retextured phantom. So I suppose I should tell everyone what it is. And that is owls. This animal would be able to be tamed like parrots and sit on your shoulder, but the difference between the two would be that the owl can deliver signed books and put the author's space. You would write the name of the person you want to send it to, and they've got 6,686 votes on that. Jessie, tell me why you want that in the game.
Because I am very easily pleased, And I already have goats, which is one of my favorite animals, and owls are my other one. So literally, I just love them, and I think it would be cute.
Rotated elf
No
face is
function.
blushing in the Discord right now, just saying.
Oh, rough.
Slack, what do you think about owls?
No, not another entity. No, man. Where's my hammer? Burn it with fire.
What if I substitute parrots, which are useless, for something that has a function like
Can we
owls?
also get rid of dolphins and ocelots?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
get
will
rid of
gladly. I will gladly get rid of those 3 for an owl.
Okay, so I'm fine for this. If we can petition a mob trade.
Okay. My idea for turning this into an add-on, obviously it's not going to be possible to make it deliver a signed book that has the destination's person name on it. But I was thinking, if you retextured a parrot, gave it some phantom flying abilities, if this is even possible, and then use some of the allay behaviors to allow it to take things from you and then drop stuff back, that's kind of that, isn't it?
Wouldn't it be
Kind of,
easier
yeah.
to just take the LA and retexture it as an owl?
Yeah, but they won't sit on your shoulder. So that's obviously,
That's
yeah,
true.
there's basically there's 3 entities there that I think you could probably steal enough of the behaviors from to make, and obviously texturing and a little bit of animation, make a relatively decent owl. So yeah, the LA's probably better than the Phantom, actually. Otherwise, they're just going to be circling above your head and you'll never get one. But yeah,
Although, how cool would that be? Just to like the vision of an owl swooping down to you, just like flew.
yeah.
Awesome.
Speaking of add-ons and things like that, I know that this is completely off the topic of owls, but I had a suggestion in my Discord for the avatars add-on for you to be able to basically put them on as armor. So you would effectively, you'd have to break it down into the individual armor pieces with a crafting table or something like that, but you would put on the person's head, the person's torso, the person's like legs and stuff, so you could dress up as the other people in your server. But then I was like, well, that's great. I really like that idea, but it's probably a bit complicated. So they're like, okay, well, why don't you just get it so that you can put one on your back, so you can like piggyback your avatar around, or vice versa. You can sit on the avatar's back and have a piggyback ride, like you can sit on the mopeds. And I thought it was a really good idea.
Hey, Foxy, we're going to go mining. I need you to watch my back. Oh, that's lava? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I like those ideas very much. Right. Okay. That is the wish list over this week, which means
No,
we
it's
are
not.
going.
I did something.
Oh, did you?
Wow.
Oh, sorry, Slack.
Wow.
Okay. I didn't expect you to pick this. Jeez. All right. Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to read it and then ask you why you want it?
I want you to read it, and then we can shame Jessiie for not picking it.
Okay. It's got 14,566 votes, and it is seasons for most biomes. At least the medium lush biomes would have 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. The cold, snowy, or hot desert jungle biomes could be excluded from this. What do seasons change? The most visible change is the vegetation. For example, coloured tree foliage in the autumn or blossoms in springtime. In the winter, the precipitation could be snow and not rain, and it could also have some impact on crop growth, like slow growth in the winter. This would add some difficulty to the game. Mob spawning could also be affected too. There are already moon phases in Minecraft. Maybe the seasons could be tied to this, or one entire moon circle could be one season. I think it would make the game more diverse and enjoyable. Slack, why do you want this in the game?
Oh, come on. Foliage that changes colors depending on the season. We already have it that does it by biome, but that changes colors. Could you imagine all the green trees suddenly turning to oranges and yellows and everything for a while? And then I don't know how you would do it for the winter of them having no leaves, unless you just like make them transparent and just icky. I think it would be awesome. And also where it could rain and snow in the same biome, depending on what phase of the moon that it was in with Minecraft, or what technical season it's in. I think would be awesome. Again, the snow layers. Snow layers would have to be a thing that could only be specific to the biomes that they're allowed in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jessiie, what's your thoughts on that?
So let's just get this out of the way right now, right? Because, shaming me. I can't be so predictable all the time, guys. I mean, I'm known as the crazy tree lady. I'm known as the tree lady. I gotta give people something else to think about me other than trees. So,
But you don't.
You know what? No, I know. I love them so much. And I'd be on this like, I'll be like, yep, done, satisfied, love it, I'm in. but I was going to let somebody else bring it up, I'm
Okay.
trying to
If that's
spread.
what you gotta tell yourself to feel better about this, it's okay. It's okay. I understand.
Okay, my opinion on this is that I'm sure this has come up either on a Mojang developer diary or in a live stream or some point at some point. It might be one of those, in oh my goodness, my memory and my words today. What's it called? The big event they do every year, Minecon Live.
Minecon.
Sometimes they have like the developer Q&A section, don't they? And I'm sure this has come up in that before. And I'm sure the reasoning that they said, and I could be completely making this up right now, but I'm sure the reason they said against it was that obviously if you're changing the color of blocks depending on the season, then if you're using those blocks for a specific reason in your build, then your build is likely to, start changing color, which might not always be the best thing. The other argument was obviously if it starts snowing in a biome that you've spent time, developing, is that snow going to melt again when it becomes summer, or is it just going to be covered in snow and then you're going to have to clean it all up? So yeah, I really want this in the game, but I think there needs to be done in a way that doesn't affect things. I don't think the leaves should be lost from the trees. I think blossom is a great idea in springtime. I think a slight variation in the colour for the trees would be great, or the foliage would be great, but not so much that it's going to be drastically affecting your build. And I think if it does snow, it should be temporary. I think it should naturally wash away again.
Oh yeah, I think
biome.
Depending on the biome, it should. Like if you're in a plains biome where it doesn't snow by default, where it would rain, then any snow that happens during the winter phase should melt when it comes into spring or fall or summer.
And then the only downside to that then is that if you've manually placed snow in a biome that it's not supposed to be in, the game's going to have to know the difference between stuff you've put down and what the game's put down. So that adds a whole new level of like complexity to how the game mechanics for snow and stuff like that works. So I'm sure they could deal with all that. I'm sure they could do it. And I really hope at some point we do get a seasonal update or something like that, which does something like this. But I think it would be nice if it was restricted to certain biomes and not all of them, so that if you don't want your base to suddenly full of snow, or you're working on it and you're thinking, oh man, it's wintertime for the next few days that I'm going to be recording, I've got to deal with all this snow, I think you should be able to have an option to go, I'm going to live in this biome where I don't have to put up with that. That's not a desert or a mountain.
I agree. And for a server, it should be something that's toggleable.
Oh yeah,
like,
100%.
Do you want seasons
you know
on
what?
or off?
That's a great idea. Yeah, turning seasons on or off.
Like how you got the game rule for phantoms and wandering traders. It should be something that's like an event. It should be, do you want this to be on or off, like fire tick?
Yeah. Or even just like you could edit the biome files with an add-on and say, okay, yeah, I want this on in this biome. I don't want it on in that biome. So you've got sort of more of a manual choice on that. But I think toggleable is probably easier.
Yeah, I agree with your option too. Your option would be great. It's like the what is it that they have in Java where they can do custom world creation, where you be like, you can have more spawners, you can have this. If we had that,
They don't
as an
have that
option,
anymore.
They
They
don't?
took that away.
I think it's back again now, isn't it?
What? When did they add it back? Last world I created, I couldn't do it still.
Oh, maybe not then. I could have sworn that was back. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, didn't they change it here a while back to like buffet or something? I don't know. It was weird. They had it, then they removed it, but
Yeah.
Maybe it's coming back
messed
for
up a lot.
119. Maybe it was in the development for that. I'm sure I've heard that's. I might again completely be making that up, but I could have sworn that they're
I'll
bringing that
definitely
back.
look into it, because I was literally just thinking before you said that I missed that feature from Java, was being able to really like handcraft your world, and it's not there anymore. So it's annoying to me, but if they add it back, I am all down. I'm all in.
because wasn't there one? I could have swore we talked about this in a meeting here a while back, or a podcast, where we talked about multiple dimensions being able to be made,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Yeah.
thought that was an option.
That was well in Java Edition they got the not this year's but last year's April Fool, the infinite dimension update, where they could just make whatever dimensions they wanted, and that became a tool that they can actually do in game now, is they can create new dimensions for like maps and things like that. Whereas Bedrock have now got the ability to affect dimension files for the overworld to make void worlds and change the visible height in the world, but that looks very much like that's going to be available to affect different biomes and different things in the future with the way the JSON files are structured, and the fact that it's in a dimensions folder and you're working on the overworld dimension file just leads me to think that, why would they go to that effort of making it like that if they're not planning on opening that up in a different way in the future?
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I was scrolling down looking at pictures, and like on this feedback suggestion, like one of them shows like all birch trees going red during autumn, and they're like spruce trees would stay the same because they're evergreens, and it's like, I really like this the more I see this.
If you could like use honey on it again to lock those in place, that would be great.
That would be.
So,
could you imagine only having certain leaves in your tree change colors?
Yeah, if it was like a per leaf
man.
thing, it was. Oh yeah, don't slack. Come on.
Yeah, we need to
Stop teasing me with it. Wow, it's so good. Right, okay, that is enough of the wish list, which takes us into the Q&A. And as usual, I think it's probably time for a very small dance break, Jessie. What do you think?
Woo!
Back in a bow.
Woo! This week you get a very ill Jessie dance break. Lucky if I don't cough. Ma-na-na-na.
Okay, well, back to the podcast.
Yep. Yeah. And go.
Moving into the questions. Our first question is from Squirrelicious, and it says, what if at some point in the future, Mojang/Microsoft were to approach you guys to make the podcast an official one? What are your feelings about such a partnership? P.S. I'll understand if that's something you prefer not to discuss openly on the podcast. If so, don't include it. Well, I've included it because I don't care. I'll share my opinions. But before I share mine, I'm going to ask Slack and Jessie what they think first.
Jessie, you want to go first? Because y'all know I'm Mr. Negative.
All right. I have two trains of thought, right? Like the, the I guess human side of me is like, man, that would be flattering. I would be okay with that. That's great. But the actual like me side of me is like, no way. No way. That is too much pressure. I wouldn't feel as comfortable being as honest or critical as I am. I would feel very open to a lot of scrutiny from Minecraft like community in general. It is a lot of pressure, and I don't know how many of you out there actually know me, but I am an anxiety-ridden mess, and I think I would die. I would just, you would never see me again.
Mr. Miserable, what's your thoughts?
I would love it. I would be all for it. It would make me happy. It would make me ecstatic. I would absolutely love it. But I'm also really negative on a lot of things with my attitude, I guess is the best way to put it. I wouldn't say negative. I'm a hard realist, I guess. Like I hope for the best, but I expect the worst. So I would never expect it to happen. I don't even think I would really even hope for it in this situation. But I wouldn't hate it, and I wouldn't oppose it. I would be all for it. But no, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. That's just how my mind works. It's not going to happen.
For me, if that was ever to happen, I would like to think that my reaction would be absolutely yes, but only if we can keep the format the way we keep it or the way we want to do it, and there's no pressure from Mojang or Microsoft to say we've got to say this, we can't say that, or anything like that. But realistically, if they were to say this was official, they would then have to have control over it, which means there would be restrictions on what we could talk about, what we couldn't talk about, how negative we could be about some subjects, and it wouldn't be this podcast anymore. So, realistically, it would say no. But if they did, I'm pretty sure I would just be like, yep, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, well, you just nailed it there. You nailed it there. We are independent content creators without a label. If you think of musicians, there's independent artists and then there's people that sign labels. You sign to a label, you're suddenly answering to the label with everything you do. This way, we're not answering to nobody but ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I think it needs to be like that in order to be taken seriously, in order to have people actually, take you seriously and believe what you're saying. You need to have an opinion that's able to express how you're actually feeling rather than pushing somebody else's agenda. So,
imagine if at that point you're a propaganda machine.
If it was the Microsoft podcast, it would just be like, hey, and this week in the marketplace section.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that would be a thing too. You know it would be.
They would be like, you need to have a specific Minecraft marketplace section. We need a segment. We need a new map every week.
Yeah. Your highlight of the week map. No more feedback and questions. And you've got to run ads for the marketplace every 30 seconds. Like,
and we also need where it says the Minecraft update. Anytime we update the store with new content, we do in-game, we need you to do that across your Minecraft update podcast logo too.
The first section of the podcast is literally listing off all of the new additions to the marketplace.
Yeah.
This week on the marketplace, Skyblock again. More teen skin packs. Jeez.
Somebody's sitting there listening.
Good
Mojang or Microsoft right now, stroking their beard, going, "I like this."
Next week, you're gonna completely not us, but they'll be like the official Minecraft podcast. Jeez.
First things first. New in the marketplace.
Yeah.
God.
If you would like to leave feedback about the marketplace, then please go to the marketplace in-game. Do you know, I was thinking about the marketplace buttons the other day, and I know everyone's always like moaning, "Oh, you shouldn't have one here and you shouldn't have one there." But the one place that really shouldn't be one is on the pause menu, because the game doesn't pause. If you go into the marketplace while you're on the pause menu, you're going to just get creepered. Like, if you're going to do that, pause the game. But no. Anyway, right, moving on from that one onto Ben. Jeez.
Ben says potatoes are slightly acidic in the real world, and copper oxidizes faster when exposed to acids. So what if poison potatoes could be used to brew a splash potion of corrosion that causes any copper blocks it splashes to oxidize by 1 level? I love this. I think that is brilliant.
Ben for president, just saying.
Right? Yeah. Use for poisonous potato, and I don't have to have fields of copper. Done. Nailed it.
Excuse the pun, but throw the splash potion away. Let me just click on it with the potato.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I mean,
even
yeah,
poisonous
that's
potatoes.
fine.
Oh, incoming potato farm.
Yeah,
Just
sorry,
saying.
the poisonous potato. Sorry, not just normal one, but poisonous potatoes. Yeah, that exactly. Give us a use for those. I don't need to brew it into a potion. Just let me just slide my poisonous potato all over my copper and turn it into nice green ones. Yeah, I'm up for it. Very excited by this, Ben. When is we going to get this in the game, please?
Yeah, I want this. How could we do this via?
And I want to do it on leaves to turn them more orange as well.
Now, I know we can do this via crafting really easy. We can make a crafting recipe for it.
Yeah.
Can we? How would you implement that as an add-on?
I don't think there's any way currently, even within experimental mode stuff, to affect like the vanilla blocks. But you could do it. You could use the new block experimental features that are not new. They've been in the game forever, but they're just still in experimental too. You can interact with blocks. I don't know if you can do it per item yet, but you can interact with a block to change its state or to run an event on it. So I guess you could probably, I'm sure you could detect what item the player's holding, and if it's a poisonous potato, take that item off them and like change the state of the copper block. I'm sure that would be possible, but you'd have to be a unique copper block. Don't quote me on that. It might be possible to affect the vanilla ones. I just don't think it is. The other thing about that is I don't know if it's possible with add-ons, and this sounds crazy, but to actually decrease the player's stack size of what they've got by 1. I think you would have to take
interesting.
So it's a great idea though. It's absolutely a fantastic idea.
Well, I remember you were originally talking about doing a terracotta wrench in one season. Did we ever figure out if that was possible on Bedrock?
At the time, with what we had available, it wasn't. But I think, again, with these, the problem is it's very difficult, believe it or not, to actually get the block that the player's looking at. So
I get what you're saying, yeah.
You can kind of do it, but it has to be in a very specific position away from the player. So if the player's slightly off or at an angle, then it just misses. So, yeah, that was my idea, but it just turned out to be... I did try to do it, but it just turned out to be quite glitchy. So I probably could take another stab at it and get it better, but I don't think it'd be perfect.
That's kind of like... there's one function we're missing in command blocks that really, really annoys me. It's the ability to target the user that interacted with it.
Yeah. Or, just a specific item rather than the item name would be nice, I think, as well in functions and command blocks. Anyway, we're way off track. Slack, what's Aiden Shin got to say?
Hi, Foxy, Slack, and Jessiie. Aiden Shin here. My question is that if you can add one thing to the overworld, nether, and the end, what would it be? I was... Excuse what? Oh, bro? No one was talking to you.
Why is it
Silly
Slack?
thing.
Why is it always...
I don't know. I didn't say nothing. I didn't do nothing. I didn't touch
Alexa?
it. The laptop's over here asleep.
Right.
My house is haunted.
You might want to start that one again, Slack.
I'm a little nervous now. Right, Aiden Shin with a hi, Foxy, Slack, and Jessiie. Aiden Shin here. Maybe they're in my room because the laptop was coming on for some reason. My question is, if you can add one thing to the overworld, nether, and the end, what would it be? I will start to say something about me each week. This time, something about me will be that I am Korean.
Amazing.
If you could add one thing to the overworld, nether, and the end, so we're adding one thing per dimension.
I guess so, yeah. I read
what it
that
looks like.
originally as like one thing that we would put in all dimensions, but I think it's 3 things, one per dimension.
I'll let y'all go first.
Oh, jeez. Let Jessiie.
Jeez. Okay. One thing in the overworld, I would like Booshes.
Let's not start that again, Jessiie. Jeez, we're going to get in trouble again.
There we go.
No.
In the nether. No, that's my answer. You can't make me say something else. In the nether, I would like
the Booshes. And in the end, I would like end bushes.
Oh my god.
I'm so done with you.
I am, you know me too well because I am absolutely done with you. In the nether, I would like a friendly mob. I know I'm one of those people who hates mobs. I don't like new things. I want a friendly something in the nether. There's nothing. There's a Strider, I suppose, but that's useless.
I just got an image of Jessiie holding hands with a piglin, just jumping down another tunnel, skipping.
Amazing would that be?
La.
Think of all the fan art, Slack. It would be amazing. And in the end, I want a different structure. I want something that's another reason to go, especially now that shulkers are basically null and void. I want another reason to go to the end. So I want a structure of some sort.
Okay, now your turn, Slack.
Isn't that weird how it works? Like, I've absolutely for years hated the end dimension. I've hated end raiding, everything about it. And now that we got the ability to clone shulkers, it's like you never have to go to the end. Literally, like the last week, my brain's been like, it's time to go base in the end. That's maybe how it should be.
Now I don't need to be here anymore. I'm going to go. You can't tell me
Exactly.
what to
It makes
do.
me want to go there now. It literally does. Because I'm like, oh man, we need end trees. And just thinking about the things you could do for end trees and end buildings and redoing stuff. Yeah. So I would say for the end, give me some kind of end tree. That's the first thing I would like. Give me a type of wood for the end and give me some specific stuff for the end. For the nether, I'm relatively happy with it. The only thing I would like would be an enchantment to, I don't even know what you would call it. To like if I go to like Frostwalker, but for lava.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Like literally I could go over lava and it like, gets a crust on it for a minute or two as I'm running across it. And then like, as I go away, the crust disintegrates down like the ring falling through, the lava on Lord of the Rings, you know?
You would
landed
kind of
on
think
that piece.
that Frostwalker would turn like lava into cobblestone or stone, wouldn't it?
You would think,
so, but
yeah,
I like that idea. Sorry, carry on. Overworld,
or even if it turned it into magma that you could walk across.
Yeah,
and then it changed
that
back.
Would be cool. Yeah.
As far as the overworld, I'm not too fussed. The overworld's got so much in it at the moment. I think the other two dimensions are lacking. But if we had to choose something for the overworld, I'm gonna say bushes too. Just
yeah. See, bushes for the win.
See, the reason I wanted you to go first is because when I get asked questions like this, my mind just goes blank on all of the ideas I've had for all of the things. I can't think of a single one for any dimension. I mean, I think everybody knows at this point I want the end completely overhauled. I want trees, I want structures, I want end paths, I want the whole lot. The whole thing needs redoing to me. Foliage, purple sprouting little things coming out the floor.
I agree.
Purple leaves.
Yep.
Yeah, everything for the end. The nether, I can always, there's always something I want when I'm there, but I can't think what that would be at this. Do you know what I'd like in the nether? It's not a thing to add. I want to remove all the bleeding walls. Every direction you fly in, there's a wall now. They didn't used to be like that. You could fly across the nether for hours. And now you're just like, oh, I can't go that way. I can't go that way. And I go, all right, I'll take a strider then if flying's no good. Now walls everywhere. Can't go. So yeah, just remove some of the walls in the nether, please. And
could we just get an enchantment to add to our bow to, if we got inventory, we can shoot out TNT arrows and just explode areas?
No.
Get rid of the walls.
No, just don't want walls. No, and then the overworld, I guess, I mean, I'm relatively happy with the overworld. I would like, obviously, as we've said loads of times on the podcast, and I've said it outside of the podcast as well, I just want sand layers and dirt layers. That's all I want. And gravel layers and grass layers. Just layers.
I want dirt slabs.
Pardon?
Dirt slabs.
Slabs, yeah. I'm not too fussed about dirt slabs. I mean, you'd be able to do that with the layers, but just layers. Just layers.
Oh, that's
please.
like giving me concrete stairs, you know? It's just, I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
Right, moving on. Isaac says, I'm new to Minecraft. I have Java Edition, unfortunately. Aww. If I buy the Windows Edition, can I export my world from Java to the new Windows Edition? Thanks for your time, Isaac. Isaac, you can. There is a tool called Chunker, which is now officially endorsed by Mojang. It was made by the Hive people, the people that made the Hive minigame servers, in conjunction with Minecraft. And with that, you can convert between Java Edition and Bedrock. Just bear in mind, although it seems to work very well, there will be certain things that just probably end up a little bit weird. So, and maybe if you've got Redstone stuff, that's all gonna, probably break because it's not compatible with Bedrock Edition. It'll still look the same; it just won't function the same. But yeah, there's a few minor bugs in it, but on the whole, it works very well. It seems to be limited to 500 megabyte world sizes. So if your world is bigger than that on Java Edition, it ain't gonna work. It's fully online tool. It's very easy to use. It's totally free. You don't even need to register to use it. So yeah, easy. Check it out. Or you can use something like Amulet, but Amulet's quite complicated and confusing.
It hurts my head using Amulet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tried once and was like, nope.
Yeah, the thing about Amulet is you have to already, this is that I don't understand, is like, if you're converting from Bedrock Edition to Java Edition, you pick the Bedrock Edition world you want, and then you have to pick a Java Edition world that you're going to transfer that world to. So you already have to have created a world in Java Edition that you're going to try and transfer that world to, which just seems really bizarre to me. Why go through the processes of having to create a new world and then overwrite it all? Why don't they just make a new world for it? Because it's not that difficult to do. And I'm assuming, I've never tried it the other way, but I would assume that works vice versa as well, that when you're converting from Java Edition, you have to have an empty Bedrock world to go into. So whereas with this other one, you don't just have you can just pick any version of Bedrock you want, you can pick any version of Java you want, going back quite far as well. So you don't even have to just use the current version, which is nice.
I'm going to go a little off topic with this. Not far, but you were talking about using programs to do it. Why can't we just have one that we can put in our world and re-optimize our world for Bedrock Edition?
What do you mean?
Like how the data gets stored in like Bedrock, it's really good at first. But I think we all know that like literally that's the peak of its performance. And it's literally downhill from there. While Java gets better with long term, Bedrock gets worse. When we talked about this with like the Witch Hut, how like data is stored and it's restored and it's restored and it's changed and it keeps calling up and it gets laggier and laggier and laggier as it goes on. Why can't we have something to re-optimize it?
That exists now, actually. It happens while the game's running, and I don't know if you've noticed, but the last few updates, actually, the large world size on Bedrocks have had very little effect to the lag in game, as opposed to where it did on Season 1. And you might notice an output if you're looking at your server's output, saying, I can't remember the words it uses now, but basically, normally when the server's idle, and sometimes where it's not, it says auto compaction or auto paction, and basically that's the system going through the world and just reorganizing the database to compress it more, basically, and make it easier to find the stuff. So yeah, that already, it's it'd be nice to have a button to just do it all there and then and get it out of
like
the way.
defragging your hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. But it's doing it on the go.
Yeah.
So that kind of happens. But that's another, one of the reasons why when you crash a server, you often have corruption because it's midway through moving data around, or it hasn't had a chance to store the data that it's got locally to put on there yet. And because the database files, because it's not Java Edition, they're all saved per region. They're all stored in one file. You get a little bit of corruption in it, and it's a whole big mess of the whole database. So,
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's that does kind of exist, but it would be nice to just have a button that goes, fix my world, please. But then that kind of exists as well, because if you do have a world with corruption, I don't know if you've ever seen this, and you try and load it, it will say, there's a little message pops up saying it's trying to like rebuild your world files or something. I can't remember what they call it now. So that kind of is there as well.
Never seen that one.
No, I can't remember the words it used, but yeah, it will go through the progress of basically rebuilding the database and stripping out any of the problems it finds and just keeping the good stuff in.
Interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Right, Jessie, what's Pearl got to say?
Don't think I didn't notice that I am the one with the huge book, but
I'll swap you if you want. You can have plods that's a bit further down.
no, it's
very small.
fine. I got it. I'll take it.
Wow, you're trading Pearl, trading plod off just like that. Yeah,
I don't mind.
Yeah. And now we're trading someone else this week. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So Pearl says, "Hello, Jessie, Foxy, and Slack. If you are all there this week." I was thinking about the current uses for the new Echo Shard, which I think are a very difficult item to gather, which is used far more in early game. This means on a world that is 2+ years old, I don't really have much incentive to go out and gather them. Potentially, they could have another use, which could maybe be to do with beacons. They could either be used to boost the area around a beacon, potentially doubling the area, or it could be used to up the strength of the beacon effects. So haste 2 becomes haste 3, and the same for other beacon effects. This could be a way to insta-mine Deep Slate. This would work instead of the current iron ingot or other material that you put into a beacon to power it. You would instead put an Echo Shard. This would only work for a full beacon base. Sorry to only write this email so close to the release of 1.19. However, it could be in a future update. Thank you for making this podcast every week. Pearl died at their Guardian farm as the strength beacon wasn't strong enough.
Oof.
I think we've all been there, to be fair. The Guardians don't play, man. My answer would be, I think that's a really fun idea. I think it's unique. I like the idea of having another purpose for them, so I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Slack.
I like the idea of it. I like the idea of the Echo Shards having a use in the beacons, but I feel like if you do much more with the beacons, it's going to overpower them. I feel like going from 2 to 3, I feel like it's too much. Increasing the range sounds like a good idea, but at the same time, that literally the reason that you lose range on Bedrock Edition is more or less you unload it. So I don't. It's a great idea. I just don't know about the execution.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. Beacons seem on the most part to me pretty balanced. They are difficult to move around, which makes the fact that they are very OP when you're using them, worthwhile. I think it would be nice to have something that allowed us to insta-mine Deep Slate. I think that is annoying that we can't do that now, because that does effectively reduce how useful our beacons are, which unbalances them. I don't think the Echo Shard would suit a beacon personally, but I do like the idea we can use them for other things. The other thing I would just say about this comment as well, you said that they're for early game rather than late game. I agree that they are for early game, but I think they're just as useful late game, because you're still going to go off adventuring, you're still going to die and wonder where your stuff was. I think overall, realistically, as much as it's a nice shiny new item, the recovery compass it's going to have very little use regardless of whether you're early game or late game, because chances of you going somewhere and not knowing where you were to go back to, that can happen any stage of the game. So realistically, the recovery compass is going to have very little use, but then the Echo Shards are very hard to find. So it kind of makes it exciting making one, but it'll probably just go in your storage box and you're never going to use it again. So
I have an idea.
go on. Yeah, I thought you did. I heard you making noises.
What if you took the Echo Shard and you broke it down into dust and you could use it for potion brewing? Because the Echo Shards are not renewable, right?
Yeah.
You could use it for potion brewing instead of like a potion that does 5 minutes. It does like an hour.
Wow, an hour.
They're non-renewable.
Yeah, so you get like so you're almost making a golden apple, but just for one specific. Well, a golden apple doesn't last an hour, but you know what I mean. A really OP.
Yeah. It's just OP for an hour. You want strength 2 for even say 30 minutes. You know, you break down one shard and it gives you 4 dust. 1 dust instead of doing like double the potion time, whatever, 4 or 5 minutes. It does it 20 minutes or 30 minutes.
I like that idea. That's a good idea. But yeah, I think maybe for beacons to be done rather than it being an item, I think you maybe need another layer of blocks for the beacon, make it 5 layers. For me, I find the range, even on a full beacon base, it seems to be really small. I seem to constantly be running out of range on my beacon, which is annoying when I'm mining. But yeah, I think rather than it just being an item, it should be. Although, like you say, they're not renewable, so it's a valuable item. So I don't know.
Interesting, regardless.
Yeah. Right. Moving on, Slack. What's Conbar got to say?
Conbar says, what's one thing that the 3 of you would love to see in Wait, didn't we just have this? What's one thing the 3 of you would like to see in Minecraft? Maybe even through add-ons. It doesn't need to be possible, just curious. Love the podcast too.
I think it's Booshes. Answering for everyone here.
Booshes end update and inventory overhaul management.
Yeah. Yeah, end update, backpacks, Booshes, done.
Yeah, cycling through hotbars for me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Sounds great, cycling hotbars.
Yeah, that would be good. And just that's it really. I mean, there's not really. Yeah, that's all I need at the moment is just being able to manage my inventory better, just have more space, just to hand. Yeah, that'd be great.
Totally agree, 100%. So yeah.
Okay. Well, the last question is from Plod, who says, somewhat rhetorical, but it's still a question. How do Mojang manage to create a whole new entity, Trader Llamas, and release it to the previews without realizing they've made it invisible?
Plod's from the future. We just talked about this today.
Yeah. The thing is with things like that, I mean, I could look at the game files and see if there's a problem. It could just be like a back-end thing that we can't see, or it could be that they've just got a comma out of place in a render controller or something like that.
I was just going to say, that can be as easy as like just a misplaced comma, right? Or like a line indentation where it doesn't need to be. Something so silly that just it gets overlooked, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first started making add-ons, it took me forever to actually get an entity to be able to be visible. I just couldn't fit. I read the manuals. I was copying what other people had done. I'd gone through everything. I could not figure out for the life of me how to make this entity visible. And obviously now I do it all the time, so it's really easy. But I'm not saying that they're struggling because they're new, but I'm saying it's so easy to make an entity just invisible. I can imagine that just being I do this all the time. I'll go to hit Control S to save it, but on my finger will hit the A button or the D button at the same time, and I'll leave an A in my thing. And I'm like, why doesn't that work? Why? Oh, I've pressed A while I've done that. Or I hit Enter and I'll accidentally hit the hash key and I'll put a hash there somewhere. So it could just be something as simple as that, and they just haven't noticed it's working in the testing. They've gone to check the file, saved it, and then pressed the button. I don't know. Or it could have just been my system in my video. I've not heard anyone else say this, but then I haven't really looked. So, yeah, it's very easy to do. Slack.
Yep. Yeah.
Good talk. Right.
I mean, Treepers. That's all I gotta say. Treepers.
Treepers. Treepers and Booshes. That's what this episode should be called.
I mean, let's see.
Right?
They added a new llama. What could they have copied over that has invisibility to it? Literally, let's take this section of the code for this llama, which is the trader llama. Wait a minute. There's a section where they go invisible. Oh, we grabbed that too. So they're like always invisible. I mean, just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be any of those things. Right, anyway, unfortunately, that is the end of today's questions, which means that if you want to ask us a question for next week, then you need to make sure to email us at news@theminecraftupdate.com, or you can fill in the feedback form that is on our website, which is theminecraftupdate.com, or you can go to our Discord and fill in all that sort of stuff in there. And sadly, though, that does mean that is pretty much the end of today's podcast as we go into the socials and find out what Bronchitis Lady is going to be doing with their Booshes this week, what Miserable Lizard is going to be not doing in particular this week, and, you know, what rubbish I'll be doing to procrastinate from doing anything useful.
Bronchitis.
Yeah. This week, I'm really hoping, I mean, as you can tell, my voice is not 100%, so I would really, really like, and I intend fully, to be streaming Monday and Tuesday this week, or not Tuesday, Monday and Wednesday this next week, and possibly Friday, just to kind of make up for the fact that I've been MIA. So fingers crossed, you will see a bunch of me, and I will get a video out as soon as I can. No idea when it's going to be.
And what about you, Slack? What you got going on?
What do I got going on? Life is what's going on. Sorry, that was a bad joke to a movie. The same as always, recording, streaming, doing things, stuff and things. That's what I do. What I do.
Fair enough.
Isn't that what you do? Isn't that what you do? No, wait. You get sidetracked on other projects and then like, I don't have a video. Well, Foxy.
Next week is update week. It's big week for all of us. So Monday, I'm likely going to be just spending that doing all day, taking the TB server down, updating all the add-ons, getting that out there, trying very hard to get my patron server add-ons and stuff sorted out and all that sort of thing. So that's probably going to kill Monday. Tuesday is update day, which as much as that means I want to be playing Minecraft in the new update, which I probably will be doing in my hardcore stream with Mitz Cats in the evening, I'm likely going to be updating all of the website stuff that I do, writing a news article and that sort of thing. But I'm really hoping that throughout the week, I'm going to be able to push out some more content. I really hope I get to make that owl in an add-on stream as well. So if you're interested in watching me trying to make an owl out of 3 different entities, then tune in for that if and when it happens next week. But it's big update week, so got a whole lot of stuff going on. Which actually does bring us to the end of today's podcast. Next week, we're going to be in 1.19. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to be there. And hopefully both of you will be along with me for the ride. Hurrah!
Whoop, whoop. Yay!
Yay. Oh, wait. Is that the end of the podcast?
That's it. We're done.
I think it is. What do we say?
Bye!